Thank you for tuning in to our Coach's Corner discussion number 5. Here with Matt today, we have we have 3 questions actually that we're going to answer. One of them might be a little bit shorter, but we're just going to head right into it. So I think I can start with mine.
Yeah, go ahead.
Of how is the best way to prepare for a max days, and the hard work that you put in ahead of time is going to mean more than anything. It's like preparing for a marathon or something. If you don't put in that work ahead of time, you just can't expect to show up that day and hit a PR. So hard work, following the programming and tracking your numbers is key. The next thing is obviously like a proper night's sleep. When I was in college and I was doing the small off, I did it for like a month. It's a Russian weightlifting program, I believe it's Russian. And it's very, very heavy, and you're doing a lot of heavy singles throughout the week. And I remember distinctly, like, on the days that I got good sleep and a good little meal in ahead of time, I always had, like, I'm talking about like 25 to 30 pound better PRs or heavy singles than I did on the nights where I would get like, it was always better to get a proper night's rest and proper meal in. So if you ever watch like an Olympic lifter right before their session or right before their main lifts on stage, what they will do is they'll pretty much go through the routine, go through their motor patterns. They'll do it slow, and then they'll do it fast, and then they'll put a little bit of weight on the bar, and they'll never ever do more than like 1, 2, 3 reps at a time. They're never going for heavy volume sets, like going 10 to 20 reps to get warmed up or something. It's always very little reps and a lot of rest time in between there, getting worked up to their heavy single. Anything you want to add there?
Yeah, a couple things. Avoiding fatigue, and it goes on in that last component of remember what energy system you're using when you're doing a max effort. It's that phosphocreatine energy system that is good for no more than 10 seconds of extremely high intensity activity, right? And now we normally think of high intensity as like Fran, but Fran compared to like a 1 rep max back squat, Fran is relatively lower on the intensity scale, right? Because it's lasting, 2 to 10 minutes. Your 1 rep max back squat should be no more than 5 seconds long, right? So we are absolutely at the peak end of your power production, and that energy system takes significantly longer relatively to recover from. So if you do an attempt, a single rep of a back squat, you should be taking 5, 6, 7 minutes in between attempts in order to fully recover that energy system before you try that next rep.
Right.
The other one was all your environmental. So Kyle talked about sleep, he talked about food, we talked about your warm-up. There's other stuff that goes on, outside of the gym, and a lot of times you put in that 6-week or 12-week or 18-week cycle, and you're ready to max out, and then something bad happens to you, right? You lose your job, dog dies, whatever. You always have to be sensitive to your environment, and not being emotionally attached to a specific number is extremely important.
Yep.
And I always am stressing, like, remember the long game, where you're going in the long term. If you're putting the work in over 18 weeks, it doesn't really matter whether you harvest that with a 1 rep max or not. You got stronger.
Yep.
You just didn't have that chance to show it off. And so don't get down on yourself if you do 18 weeks of work and you don't PR because of something like just totally out of the blue that happens. Go easy on yourself. You did the work, and that still matters. And then the last thing was on arousal level. That is just like how much of my should I be like popping the ammonia caps underneath my nose and like screaming and slapping myself in the face before I do a snatch? No, that's not the right idea. Right? Think about how technical the movement is before you apply like all of your like emotional energy into it. A back squat or a deadlift, yeah, that's when you're a 10 out of 10 arousal level. For a clean and jerk or a snatch, you should be down a little bit because they require more thought, they require more finesse and precision in the way that you move. So you want to be dialed back a little ways, like a 7 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10 for a snatch.
Yep.
Okay, that's all I got. On to the next question. This one is a fun one. Mr. Short asks us, why is all the fun stuff designed for tall people? I really want to try the pegboard, but I can't even reach the first peg. Please be more considerate of us short people. And we will definitely provide a lift so that anyone who wants to try the pegboard can try the pegboard. But it's interesting because not everything is oriented towards tall people. And if you look in the CrossFit Games, there was one tall guy. There was one guy that was 6'2", and everybody else was 5'7" or under. You are tall in CrossFit if you're 5'9". and your average if you're about 5'5" or 5'6",
Yep.
right? So a lot of the barbell movements, the kettlebell movements, the short cycle like presses, pulls, squats, those all favor the short person. There's only a handful of things that really favor the tall people, but
Rowing.
yeah, rowing,
Would be one. Running.
wall balls, running, right? And even short runs, you may make an argument that a shorter, more powerful runner is usually better. Like Usain Bolt on the sprint is abnormally tall to be a world record holder. He's an outlier, right? So the rest of us, the people that exist in the middle of the spectrum actually have an advantage over most of those other people who are taller. All right, next one. This is a great one from Mike Seawold. Why is it important to take protein before and after a workout? How much protein should be taken in a sitting? And how much protein can someone's body absorb? I'll go last to first. So how much protein your body can absorb? We've all been told that like rule of thumb is 20 grams per sitting. And obviously there's no way that you can apply that one standard to all different, because if somebody who's 300 pounds versus somebody who's 100 pounds, you better believe that's like a 3-to-1 ratio of how much those two systems can absorb at one time. Right, and so I would base this more on like you start from the middle and work your way out. If you are if you take the median guideline of 20 to 25 grams per sitting, and that's for like 160 or 170 pound person, you know, multiply that out, and a lot of the stuff like our RP templates and the other dietary guidelines that we have are based on the weight of the individual, so they will have the specific amount that you should be taking pre, during, and after your workouts. And yeah, 20 is a great guideline, but you should be more worried about the total amount that you're getting throughout the day, and then timing that stuff throughout the day around your workout. So how much protein should be taken in a sitting? That's about what I do, is anywhere between like 25 and 30, and that's based on some of the template information that I have from my RP template, but also based on experience of like what makes me feel good. I have done like more protein at a sitting, and it kind of just sits in my stomach, and I've done less and felt less energetic, and so I feel like that's a good medium. Always use yourself as a test subject. You know, you're the subject, n equals 1 in this test.
Your body knows you better than you do, so if you're feeling something that's out of whack, there's a good chance that some tweaks or adjustments need to be made. And someone like Brian Shaw, or compared to like one of us, you can't say like a specific number like this is how many grams you should be getting a day, because Brian Shaw is eating, I think he
like 14,000 calories a day or something.
Yeah, 14,000 calories a day, and like
ridiculous.
80 to 100 grams of protein.
At 425 or 440 pounds of body weight,
he's
that's
getting like
muscle.
he's
right?
getting like 600 grams of protein.
It's
a day.
ridiculous. Yeah.
So you can't possibly say one number is for everybody. It's based off your body weight and how you feel.
And so based off your body weight, we usually say 1 gram per kilogram of body weight, and you can take that up to 1.3. All of the stuff about it being damaging to your liver and your kidneys is pretty much bunk science, that if you take in too much, it may upset your stomach, but you'll eventually just pass it, right? It does not mess with your system. But use that range, 1 to 1.3 grams per kilogram of body weight per day will usually get you sitting in the 30 to 40% of your total daily calorie intake is a good range for protein intake. And then timing it so that you're taking a portion of that before your workout, a portion of it during your workout, and a portion of it after your workout. That should be the majority of the protein that you eat for the day, because it's surrounding this time when your body is the most metabolically active and in need and capable of reuptake of all those resources.
Yeah.
Protein is your basic building block of all the skeletal muscle, the hair, the collagen fibers, all of the stuff that makes you move and able to do the exercise. It's all built out of protein, so it's very important to keep that in the bloodstream during your high intensity exercise, before and after. Have it ready to go there. And
you'll get the best benefit if you take it around the workout time.
Yep.
By far.
Now the other thing is you have to make sure that when you consume the protein that you are blending it with carbs, right? So that's why like our template information, it always has a blend of protein and carbs with it, because without sufficient carbohydrate in your diet, your body will start to use protein for energy, and that will deprive your muscles of the amino acids and the other building blocks that they need for repair and muscle growth.
Yep.
So make sure that you're using a certain amount, or an approximately similar amount of carbs. And I actually will use like 3 to 1 carbs to protein in most of my post-workout shakes, because that's what your body is the most in need of when you are recovering from workout. What do you got? Anything else?
That was pretty good. I was gonna talk about like what you just kind of backpacked off what you just said of like like refilling your glycogen levels. But
Well, CrossFit is a largely glycolytic.
yep, we burn a lot of
activity,
glycogen
right?
while we're doing our workouts.
We're at the top end of the aerobic domain.
Right. So
for
it's
most of our
crucial to get
workouts.
protein and carbs together.
Yep, protein and carbs together. That's why. Science.
Other than that, don't listen to too much bro science.
Ha.
All right, that's all we got for today. Thank you. Keep the questions coming. We'll have. Sorry, this one took a little bit longer. We were around the holidays and stuff. It's difficult to kind of get all this done, I guess. So, thank you.
See you next time.